Welcome to the Dynasty YT, this is your King Shay speaking. As you can tell by the title of the video, this is going to be the top 5 ARAM comps that you can have. Yes, it is ARAM and yes, it is random, but some of these compositions don't look very good on paper, but are actually very strong in ARAM. So starting at number 5, I'm going to be putting in the Wombo Combo comp, the Engage comp, the ultimate level 6 go in comp, right? This is going to be a composition that utilizes champions like Leona, Jarvan, a Mumu, Sion, something that has really hard engage, like a Malphite, and then the rest of the champions are going to be following up. You need really good follow-up with that engage, such as Orianna, Graves, Vel'Koz, Yasuo, or even Misfortune. The pros of this comp is that it is extremely fun once you pull it off. Once you get that Wombo combo off, it is ridiculous how strong it is and how beautiful it is when you pull it off. If everything falls into place correctly, there's absolutely no way the other team can get away with this. Either your composition has so much CC and sticking power with your combo that they won't be able to get away, or there's just so much burst damage you just blow them all up before anything can even happen. This is one of those compositions that has high risk, high reward, where you have to have those ultimates really hit really well. Everything has to be in place to be able to win those team fights, and that's why it's higher risk, high reward. As long as you guys stall the game long enough to where your champions become super strong, there's absolutely nothing the other team can do to stop you guys. Once the Wombo combo goes off, done. It's over. The team fight, there's nothing the other team can do. The cons of this Wombo combo comp is, the main thing is that you have to be patient. You have to have all the ultimates available for you to win the team fights. If anything goes wrong where one person gets picked off or one person decides to fight before the ultimates are all up, you're going to lose that team fight. The next thing is that if you mess up your ultimates, if you mess up any type of part of your Wombo, then you're going to lose as well. Everything has to be perfectly in place for you to win that team fight. Another con of the Wombo combo comp is that itemization is key. Sometimes you have to have certain items to be able to successfully pull off the Wombo. For example, one of your champions might have to pick up Talisman, or maybe have to pick up Righteous Glory to be able to go all in as fast as possible before the other team can even disengage. And lastly, this Wombo combo comp relies heavily on ultimates, so therefore 1 through 6, before you guys get your ultimates, you have to play super safe and not fall back too far behind. Even if it means giving up a tower, then that's okay, because once you hit level 6, you're going to start to win and then push their side. My number 4 on my list is going to be the shield comp. The shield comp relies on champions such as Lulu, Janna, Karma, Shen. Any champion that has a really strong shield, even Lee Sin could possibly be in this composition. This comp is very similar to what the LCS does, in where they protect the AD carry comp, where they have like maybe an Orianna mid lane, Lulu top lane, a support Janna, and like a Kog'Maw AD carry, and like maybe a Nunu jungle. Right? This is going to be basically protect the something comp, where you have all bunch of shields for this one champion, and then you make sure that champion is very strong. There's not many pros to this composition, except that it does actually work. It might look terrible while you're in the loading screen, but it does work. Yes, you might have like 3 champions with a ton of shields and stuff like that, but if you have one hyper carry like a Vayne or something like that, as long as you keep that guy alive, it's going to be successful. It is a low risk kind of composition because there's not really much you can do to mess up. All you have to do is put all your shields into this one carry. But moving on to the cons, that one carry better be good, right? If the person's playing Vayne and the person has terrible mechanics, well, good luck. This composition is not going to work. That one carry that you're putting all your focus onto, if he's a terrible player, then yeah, this composition is not going to work. Another con of this is that it's a very specific comp. You have to have very specific champions, such as the Lulu, such as the Karma, to be able to pull this off. You could possibly get stalled out to where the enemy team might have so much more damage than you that even all the shields and heals that you can possibly have, you're not going to win the team fights. Number 3 on my list might come to a surprise to you guys, but it's going to be my poke comp. This composition utilizes champions such as Lux, Jace, Ezreal, Varus, Ziggs, even Zed. The biggest pro of this comp is that it's extremely safe, very low risk, pretty high reward kind of composition that you can have. You only really need 2 out of the 5 champions to have poke. For example, like you could only have like a Nidalee and a Xerath, and that's going to be plenty of poke for you. All those champions needs to do is just whittle the other team down, eventually push towers and stuff like that, and then you'll be completely fine. The con of this comp is that if you can't successfully do what the team is supposed to do, poke the other team out, then you're not going to win the game. Usually with these comps, you don't have any type of engage, so therefore you have to be sure to land those poke, because if you don't, there's no other way you can start these team fights. You're just going to have to wait for the other team to come at you. This comp is countered really hard by any type of sustain or any type of hard engage that successfully lands on you. And finally, just like the Wombo combo comp, you have to be patient with this composition. You can't start a fight without your poke first hitting, because if you do, you're not going to be able to win those team fights. You need to have the poke stick before the team fights happen. Number 2 on the list is actually a composition that took me a while to get footage of this. The number 2 is going to be the CC comp or the pick comp. It's kind of surprising, but it's actually extremely strong. If you have a whole team of a ton of CC, then you're going to win. Champions like Fiddlesticks, Vigar, Lux, Zyra, Morgana, Syndra, anyone who can land, who has a ton of CC from long range, and then everyone is able to follow up, then you're going to be really strong. Any champion that can cause picks, for example Thresh or Blitzcrank, then you're also going to be very strong. The pros of this is that you're always going to be fighting in your favor. The other team is going to be very scared to even get close to you, because all your pick is going to be fairly long range, and as soon as one lands, the rest is going to land, and that person's going to die. It's always going to be in a 5v4 kind of game, and then the other team doesn't know what to do. Because you have so much crowd control, it's going to be very difficult for the other team to start fights safely. You're always going to be in control because you have so much crowd control. It is a fairly low risk, high reward kind of composition where, like I said, if one lands, the rest is going to land, and then the odds will ever be in your favor. The cons of this composition is that if you don't have all your CC available, for example, if some of your champions are back in base, or maybe you're trying to do little skirmishes, it's not going to work. Everyone has to be there in order to pile up all the CC and then win the team fights. If you mess up your CC, then it's obviously going to be a bad thing, because that's going to be part of your composition. You have to have all the CC to work. And finally, a very small con is that if the other team takes advantage of the window of opportunity of where you don't have any CC, then it's going to be difficult as well, because your composition relies solely on the CC. And number 1 on my top 5 ARAM composition is going to be the heal comp. Even with the changes to ARAM to where heals are 50% less effective to allies instead of 20% overall less effectiveness, this is still a very strong comp. This comp utilizes champions like Nami, Janna, Taric, Soraka, Sona, Alistar, obviously any champion with the heal. This comp has very low risk, high reward kind of composition. It's extremely safe to do, very easy to pull off, huge sustain for very easy trading. And to top it all off, it's going to be extremely hard to play against, because it's like basically having a bunch of different lives with all the heals and sustains that you're going to have. One of the biggest cons to this composition is that you have to be willing to give up the early game. Without any items, you won't be able to do enough damage, and you also won't be able to heal the damage that the other team is going to be bringing out. So you have to be willing to give up the first tower, maybe not fight in the beginning, just tower hug, and then wait for your itemizations to come in. 15 to 20 minutes is probably the time where you can easily turn the tide and start winning the team fights. The success to this team comp is that you need to be able to trade very well. All you need to do is just trade a couple skills against the enemy team, back off, heal it up, and then go back into the team fights. You can't just have one of the healers be there, because this team comp relies on all your healers being there, healing each other back and forth, so that all the damage that the enemy team is doing is not going to stick. And finally, this team comp won't work with just one or two of the healers. When you're in the champ select and you see a Sona, or you see only a Janna, or you see only a Soraka, it's not going to be end all be all, oh, we won. It's going to be successful if you have 2 or even 3 healers. For example, a Taric, a Soraka, and a Sona. There's nothing that any team can do. And now to wrap up this video, I just want to do very quick honorable mentions. One of them is going to be the all tanks plus Janna comp. If your tanks are super tanky to the point where Janna can just press R, heal everyone up in the team fight, that's pretty strong. Someone like an Alistar plus Taric plus Leona and then just a Janna, that's extremely strong comp. And the second one that I wanted to mention is the invulnerability comp. This is a very specific composition where your team has a bunch of invulnerabilities to win team fights. For example, Zillion, Kayle, every champion that could have possibly Zanya's, right? This is going to be, it's a very fun comp to pull off, considering it's a hilarious how many kind of invulnerabilities that you can have. And the biggest thing is that it's extremely specific. You have to have very specific champions to pull this comp. That's why this didn't make my top 5. Those are my top 5 ARAM comps. Remember that if you see these champions in Champ Select, don't be discouraged because these are going to be very successful. Remember to give this video a thumbs up, everything helps. Remember to check out my other videos, the links will be in the description. Thank you guys for coming out Dynasty, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.